Hello and welcome to the Today's Homeowner Weekly podcast. We're here to help you with the challenges we all face as homeowners. I'm Danny Lipford.
And I'm Joe Truini. And each week, Danny and I are here on the podcast to answer any and all home improvement questions.
And we want to hear from you. Send us your questions or comments at todayshomeowner.com/podcast.
Okay, Danny, let's get started.
Today's Homeowner podcast is brought to you by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. This week we talk about flooding. Now, I'll tell you, when you have a flood and you're on a house, it's up on piers, you can see where it can cause a lot of damage, but I never realized that extreme flooding can cause a lot of problems with the concrete foundation. So we try to work with a homeowner to help out every way we can to try to rescue this particular house in Ohio.
Yeah, that hydrostatic pressure is no joke. And it can actually bow in a wall and cause catastrophic failure if you're not careful. We're going to talk to a caller who has a narrow driveway. And we're talking about a driveway that's so narrow, he can't hardly drive the car in and out without scratching up the paint. So we have a couple of suggestions that might work for him.
I thought it was kind of neat. He said, maybe I should buy a Mini Cooper. You know, they're pretty.
That might be.
Small.
That might even be too wide.
Right, I know it. That's unbelievable that someone didn't think about that. As, of course, I guess he said that the house was
built in the 20s, I think.
Yeah,
right?
The 20s. Yeah. So a long time ago. Hey, another thing that we talk about is how to repair a concrete front porch. You know, concrete should be just a lifetime type of situation, but sometimes some things happen, and a lot of times it's because when it was originally poured, it wasn't done quite right. But that doesn't mean you have to break out the jackhammer. We offer a few solutions to make this particular concrete front porch look just like brand new.
And I've got a simple solution: how to convert a kitchen scrub brush into a power scrubber using your cordless drill.
All right, let's get started. Let us know if we can help you with any little challenge that you have with your home. It's pretty easy. Just go to 1-800-946-4420 is the Today's Homeowner hotline. You can call us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or you can send us an email message through todayshomeowner.com/ask. Right now, we're going to see if we can help Judy, who is in Ohio. Judy, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. My house was flooded severely on May 28th, 2019. My basement walls are all bowed in. One is bowed in more than an inch. I have horizontal stair-step cracks and vertical cracks, more horizontal though. My house has been compared to the Titanic, and my basement floor is all cracked.
Well, that can't be good.
Oh,
no. I asked them to put it, I said, can you put it in writing?
Wow.
So this is a concrete block foundation, I'm
Yes.
assuming, Judy? Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know what to do, if I should just have them replaced or...
Well, I'll tell you what. First of all, we're so sorry that you're going through this, and we all followed all of the flooding and everything there in the Midwest. And you hear things on the news and you see some pictures, but boy, until you're in the middle of it and you realize, just like this, a very substantial foundation being affected by the floods and the waters and so forth. That's just it's just amazing. But I'll tell you, certainly this is a severe problem. Not to say that the house needs to be torn down, but certainly needs to be evaluated so that whatever steps that you take to correct it are the right steps and permanent fix, so that it doesn't affect the quality of the home, which points directly to the value of the home. I would certainly recommend getting a structural engineer who does residential structural work on a routine basis. And I guarantee you other homes are suffering from the same type of damage. And I would have them come out, and they just have a way of looking at it. They've seen damage. They've seen situations like this. And to be able to come out and not only evaluate how severe the settling and the cracks and so forth are, but to recommend a feasible way of repairing everything. And it may be that a wall has to be built adjacent to some of the vertical walls and re-poured. It may be something simpler than that, but I think that's really the only way you're going to get a good evaluation of it, because a contractor, you'll be all over the place with the opinions you get from certain contractors.
Yeah, that's kind of the situation I'm in.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, thank you very kindly. I appreciate your time. My basement floor is cracked to pieces, too, and they're telling me that cannot be repaired, and water comes through when it rains.
Well, it might not be able to be repaired, but it may be that they can remove sections of it and then pour a cap slab over it. There's a lot of tricks in the book that can be used that can safely put that back together. And you might call the Home Builders Association chapter in your area of Ohio and ask them about a structural engineer that might be a member of that organization, because a lot of times they have structural engineers that are members of the organization that work with builders quite a bit. Joe, what do you think on that? Joe had a comment.
Yeah, Judy, the only thing I wanted to add is that this is a catastrophic problem, no doubt, when your walls are bowing in, but it's not that unusual in that there are ways to repair it. And there are two ways that I've seen it repaired. And one is they actually come in with steel I-beams, vertical steel I-beams. They bolt them to the floor framing above and to the concrete floor below. And then they wedge in shims or something behind it. Now, that doesn't straighten out the wall, but it definitely reinforces the wall and prevents it from bowing in any further. And then there's a company called Rhino Carbon Fiber. Rhino like rhinoceros. Okay. And they have a whole system where they call them staples, carbon fiber staples. They're really just strips of carbon fiber, which is, I think, the strongest material, man-made material in the world. But anyway, they epoxy it over the cracks, and that completely stabilizes it and prevents it from moving. So, if you talk to a contractor and they mention, there's another company called Stable Wall. It's stable without the E, Stable Wall. And they deal with this kind of problem as well. So, if there's a dealer in your area, contractor in your area that's certified by either Rhino, Carbon Fiber, or Stable Wall, it wouldn't cost you anything to have them come out and take a look at it.
Okay, thank you so kindly. Thanks to both of you.
Our pleasure, Judy. You have a great weekend. Thanks for being with us. So, yeah, boy, when you see pictures like that and you see that, she certainly had a calm demeanor there, because when you have your house crumbling out from under you there, it's not a very comfortable situation. Right now, it's time for our Best New Product segment, brought to you by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Lots of people are loving the weathered look of furniture these days. It's not hard to pull it off. You make for a great weekend project, but don't go running to your nearest furniture store. Just grab a few brushes and some cans of Varathane whitewash wood stain and go to town on any furniture that you may have. This wood stain is designed to enhance the natural wood surface on furniture, doors, cabinets, and a whole lot more that you may have around your home. Varathane whitewash wood stain works over bare or stained wood, covering up to 275 square feet per can, and the wood finish penetrates deeply, providing long-lasting protection. So if you were thinking of that whitewash look, this would be the way to go. And to learn more about Varathane whitewash wood stain, log on to HomeDepot.com.
That is a nice look. I like that whitewash.
Yeah, boy, a lot of people have really embraced that quite a bit. And, there's a lot of people that it's kind of interesting, where I saw a young lady recently that, did a few of these pieces for her house. Friends saw it and said, hey, I'd love to do that. And then they had a couple pieces that she did some whitewashing and distressing on, and then she got better and better and better, and all of a sudden she built her little building out behind her house, and then added on to it. Now she has, I think it's called White House Refinishing, and she bought or rented a fairly large house, and it's filled up with this type of thing. And so it's just kind of cool when you see that bootstrap type business turn into, the way she makes her living.
Yeah. In fact, I was in Home Depot just a few days ago looking to see if they carry tongue groove pine paneling, 3/4 inch thick solid pine. They do. And I also noticed they carry it with a whitewash finish.
How be?
Shows you just how popular it is that they're actually selling the product already whitewash stained.
It definitely is very, very popular. I want to remind you about our very popular electronic newsletter. If you want fresh, clever, and practical ideas for your home, sign up today. It's completely free. All you have to do is go to todayshomeowner.com and you'll receive one every other week from us here at Today's Homeowner. Right now, let's see if we can head to Connecticut, and John is on the line with an interesting driveway question. John, welcome to the show.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Yeah, my house was built in the 1920s, and the driveway was designed for cars of that era, and that means it works fine for I guess if you drove a LaSalle, but for a Lexus not so much. Yeah, it's pretty narrow. It's extremely narrow, in fact, and to make it worse, there's a high stone retaining wall on each side.
Wow.
And so unless the driver is really skillful or careful when he's backing up, there's a good chance the car is going to make contact with the wall, and you get a nice scratch.
Oh,
so it's really that narrow where you only have like a couple of inches on either side, John?
Yeah. You can't, if you escape the wall when you're backing up, when you open the door, it's going to get the paint on your door. So you can't win with this stuff.
And is this relatively straight, at least? It doesn't have a curve to it, I hope.
It is straight. That's the only good thing about it.
Yeah. So how many inches do you actually have on either side of your car?
Gosh, I haven't actually measured. It will. You can with the mirrors out. You can drive in if you're really careful. Backing out, you gotta really be.
So maybe like 5 or 6 inches on either side.
Yeah.
Because the mirrors are probably about 4 inches.
Yeah.
What do you think, Danny?
Well, I mean,
get a rubber car. Maybe that would do. They make rubber cars anymore? Get a bumper car.
I did. Speaking of bumpers, I did look into something like the rubber bumpers that they use on like ports and quays to keep boats from bumping up against it and being damaged.
That's a good idea.
But I haven't been able to find anything that will work with stone.
Right.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's certainly you could glue some of that and attach it here and there in some ways, much like you would boat bumpers. But there again, you're closing it down even more from that standpoint.
Glue them to the car.
That's a tough one.
That wouldn't work.
But I really think the only way that you can make it wider is to make it wider. I mean, to be able to remove whatever side, even if it's serving as a retaining wall for dirt behind it, you just have to pick whichever side you can possibly make wider, because that's always going to be a problem unless again you buy the little small cars. But I think that's really the only way to do it, is to look at whichever side would be the least amount of work, and then look at some landscape contractors that deal with a lot of hardscape things just to see what's involved in removing. Maybe the stone can be removed carefully and reused with a new retaining wall put up. And I know I'm making it sound so simple, but I'm sure that's not the case with any kind of a stone retaining wall. But I believe that's really the only way to do it. I mean, the bumpers running down there would help some and would make sense when you see them. But I think the only way is to tackle one side or the other.
Hey, John.
Yeah, when I had some work done on the wall. In fact, I had the walls replaced on the driveway several years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago.
Right.
And the contractor, I suggested making it wider because that was what I was going for in the first place, and he wouldn't touch it. He said, "Well, it's connected to the foundation of your house. We start moving the wall. What's going to happen?" So,
hey,
and
John.
besides, it'll cost you $100,000 or something.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money, but.
Yeah.
So I backed away from that, but it sounds like that may be the only solution. Either that or a Mini Cooper.
Yeah, that's right.
John,
that's right.
John, the only other thing I was going to suggest is you can buy curbing, rubber curbing that looks like any other curb, only it's made out of rubber. And I don't know how much they are and where you'd even get them, but you probably buy them online. I think they come in 4-foot sections or so. And if you had enough room to put those on either side, at least you'd hit those first. Before you hit, because they're relatively narrow. I don't think they're more than 4 or 5 inches wide. And this way you'd hit those first before hitting the wall. And I remember many years ago when I was a kid, cars used to have feelers, I think they call them.
Curb feelers.
Curb feelers. And they're basically like, you can probably still buy them because everything's available online. They just stick out. They're not very attractive looking, but they're wires that stick out by the front wheels. And I guess if you get close to the curb, they would scratch the curb and you'd hear them. That doesn't prevent you from hitting the wall, but at least it lets you know you're getting close to the wall.
Yeah.
But I would look for curbing. I would look for a curbing first, see if that works.
Okay, it's curbing. CURBING then?
Correct.
Okay.
Good luck, John.
All right.
All right, John, a unique problem. Best of luck to you on solving that. And, boy, I'll tell you, that's one of those things you think about when you're building a new house or building anything like that. Make the gate wide enough. Make the retaining walls wide enough. You really need some room there, especially for the more inexperienced drivers. And backing up is never easy, even though those backup cameras are awesome in some of the cars like that. But, we have to brag every now and then. Here's a little something I'd like to brag about. This Sunday, October 20th, in the morning on HLN, Headline News, Weekend Express, my daughter Chelsea Lipford Wolf will be on the show and actually doing 3 segments. So you'll have to tune in and see what she does to a pumpkin. She does a great job, and they've asked us to come on the show with them there. And, of course, Weekend Express is an extremely successful show on CNN. So tune in and check out Chelsea that morning from 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. I'm looking forward to that, and I know she did a great job. And if you're following us on social media, the Today's Homeowner social media on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, as well as Twitter, you'll be hearing a lot about it. We want to make sure everybody that possibly can tune in on that. But right now, let's see if we can help. Chuck is in Alabama with a little front porch dilemma. Chuck, welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your time and hopefully some of your expertise.
Well, we hope so.
Sure.
I know you sent in some great pictures here. It is a bit of an eyesore and a concern, but tell us all about it.
Well, I'm wanting to screen in this porch. My house, of course, is up on piers. It's brick all the way around to the ground. So we have this porch out here, and we want to screen it in. Of course, I've noticed the concrete damage. You can see some rebar, and most of them are right at post. But most of that I did grab it by hand, and it rocked off and fell off. I have one spot there that still has a crack in it, but it's deeper into the concrete. And, of course, I'm wanting to repair this and stuff before I screen in the porch and paint it. I want to paint the floor, so.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Well, I'll tell you, it looks a lot worse than it probably is, because with the breaking off like that, it seems like from what I'm seeing, and just so that our other listeners across the country understand, it's a concrete front porch, and just the very, very end of it has kind of chipped off in several areas, and the rebar, the steel bar inside, is very prominent out there. And I suspect that rebar was a little too close to the surface of the concrete, and just a little expansion and contraction is what caused that to layer off of there. So I'm going to give you my take on it, and Mr. Opinionated Joe Truini will give you his. So
Okay.
I would suggest actually cutting out as much of the rebar, or the not all of the rebar, but the lower piece that seems to may have contributed to this breakaway, and cut it out of there with an abrasive blade, or any way that you can get that one piece out. Of course, chipping away all of the loose pieces that you possibly can. And then our friends at Quikrete have a number of products that are designed to work in a scenario like this, because you can't just throw some concrete up there and expect it to stay. So you're going to have, and I can't tell you this particular product to use, because there might be several that would apply to this. And, of course, going to quikrete.com, and I guarantee you they have a video showing this exact same thing. But then you could probably take a couple layers for you to put a little on there, then build it up a little bit more. The good thing you mentioned is you're going to be painting it so that it can all paint together, and should turn out good. Joe, what's your take on this?
Yeah, the photographs are very helpful, Chuck, and I agree that the rebar shouldn't be sitting right at the bottom of the slab. It should always be in the middle of the slab, so somebody just put it too low. To cut it away looks like it'd be a little bit of a challenge, but if you had something with a little bit of a grinder or a masonry blade, maybe you can get in there, and cut out that one piece. Now, I think you're going to have to, I would definitely go to Quikrete and see what they have for high-strength, either patching concrete or just a high-strength concrete. You're going to have to form it up, of course, so you're going to have to put up a piece of wood underneath it, and maybe one on the side, something to hold the concrete in place, and pour it in there. Mix it to the directions. I might even mix it a little thicker and get it in there. The other trick you might know, Chuck, that I want to share with everybody is whenever you're putting new concrete or any new masonry product on an old one, always dampen the existing surface.
Okay.
So get a spray bottle with just like a plant mister with water and mist the existing concrete. Because if you don't, what happens is that old concrete is dry and it's going to suck the water out of the new concrete mix, make it dry too quickly, and it won't form as good a bond. So just do that little step. But that's basically all you need to do, form that up. Fortunately, anything you put on for screening is going to be set back a couple inches from this. But if you're going to be drilling down into that, I would be, to frame up the screen porch part, I'd be really very, very careful. In fact, I would say don't even go near any place you've patched, because you just don't want to take a chance of going in with a hammer drill and knocking off what you just
construction
all the new
construction
concrete.
Adhesive will take care of that. Using the construction adhesive to glue that bottom plate down will take care of that.
Okay.
And you could put screws elsewhere, Tapcon or whatever, but I would definitely glue it down.
It'll be attaching to the post too,
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
right. It'll be attached to the post. Very good. Right. So that'd take care of that. But and any surface cracks, you talk about surface cracks. I think either a masonry crack filler or even epoxy, which would be better, more expensive but better.
Okay,
you could fill that. Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Well, good
luck, Chuck.
Sound like a great project and everything. Hope we've been able to help you. Let us know how it turns out for you.
Yeah, you kind of confirmed some things. Thank you very much.
All right, our pleasure. Thanks a lot. We've had some great callers with great emails, wonderful response on our Today's Homeowner Hotline. We want you to know all about it. 800-946-4420 is all you have to do. Toll free. Give us a call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with any comments you may have, any tip, or any other idea along those lines. Joe, we certainly have a great group of listeners all over the country.
Absolutely. We get them, they contact us any way, day or night. You might not even have to call in. Maybe you'll find a fellow listener will call in with a very similar question, and we'll answer it. And if you still have an additional question, call us back. We don't mind, answering the same question a couple of different ways if need be. So get in touch with us. We have lots of ways to do that. That's
the one thing that's the beauty of radio. It's a lot to do with what's happening right then around your house, whether it's something to do with the season or some time of the year or what might, a problematic area because it's too hot, too cold. All those kind of things are certainly welcome here at Today's Homeowner. Any way that we can help you. Right now, let's catch a few of these recorded calls that we received on the hotline this week.
We live in a really old house, late 1800s. Our kitchen and bathroom are actually an add-on that was probably added on maybe in the 40s, and we need an exhaust fan terribly in the bathroom. There's a window in there now. On the top, it empties out into like a metal roof. There's no attic above it, so we're trying to vent it out the window or out the side of the wall, and we only have 4 inches to work with. A lot of the exhaust wall mount fans are like 6-8 inch ducts or whatever, that needs to go out. So I need to know what can we do to get an exhaust fan in this bathroom, because the humidity is ruining all of the wood in my vanity and the woodwork and everything else.
Oh, boy. And that means that air is not very healthy to be breathing when you're talking about mold, mildew type of environment like that. So, yes, definitely you need to get that exhaust fan working. A side-mounted exhaust fan, there's a lot of different ways you can go there. And now normally those are go directly to the outside. It sounds like here you might be trying to navigate through an attic. And while most of them are 6-inch vents, to be able to put a reducer on that to reduce it to 4-inch is not the best way to go, but it's certainly much better than the environment that you have now. But if you do have a true outside wall that you can cut the hole in and mount a true wall-mounted exhaust fan, that's probably about the best way that you can get rid of that hot, moist air in your bathroom, and you want to position it as high on the wall as you possibly can. I would suggest that you go to Broan.com, BROAN.com, and you'll find the solution to your problem there.
A caller asked about rust being removed from tools, steel. The last commenter there had something to do with molasses, soaking at molasses. I don't know if it was whole molasses or molasses mixed with water. I didn't catch it. Just wondered if that could be repeated. And my question is, does this also work on rust that's on iron? Thank you very much. Bye.
You're very welcome. I was the last commenter who mentioned that. And yes, it was a simple solution I shot. And the Recipe is 9 parts water to 1 part molasses. And it's just regular old molasses. I don't know if there's more than one type. I'm only familiar with the kind you get at the supermarket, but it's 9 parts water, 1 part molasses. Mix it well in a jar or bucket or whatever. And then you just soak the rusty tool or piece of hardware. It could be a hinge or metal bracket or cabinet pull, that kind of thing. And yeah, it works on steel, works on iron, works on anything that has rust. Now, it takes a while. You might have to soak it, depending how much rust on it. You might have to soak it for a few days, but it does work. Okay, let's go to the next question.
I have a basement that leaks, and it's got a real bad mold smell in it, and I'd like to know how to get rid of this mold smell out of it.
Well, the mold smell is running side by side with the moisture that's in there, and you won't be able to eliminate it without eliminating that moisture. First thing I would do, depending on how closed in the basement is, dehumidifier can do an amazing thing down there, and you can get a dehumidifier fairly reasonable that will empty into a container that you have to empty from time to time, or you also have those that you can hook hoses to that may be able to go straight into a floor drain, sump pump, or even set it on the counter and allow it to drain into a bathtub or a sink. But either way, you're lowering that moisture in your house. Now, so many times I mention a hygrometer. It's just a digital readout. I just bought one that I'm using in my home to make sure I'm keeping my new home down to about 50% while the construction work's being done to reduce any expansion and contraction. Same thing there. Get a digital hygrometer and you'll be able to tell if you're below that magic 50% relative humidity percentage mark because you really have to drive that down. Now, the other thing is any of the sealing that you can do to waterproof any of those walls to prevent the moisture coming through is certainly a step in the right direction there. There's a lot of different type of very simple waterproof paints that are available that you can apply, clean the wall, apply 2 coats on. That'll also help. So a combination of all of these things will help you get rid of the moisture that's going to get rid of that bad smell. So we always appreciate everybody contributing and engaging with us through our Today's Homeowner Hotline. Again, it's 1-800-946-4420. Call us anytime at all, and you can send us emails. We have a lot of emails that we'll be going through, and you can send us one at todayshomeowner.com/ask. We completed our taping of our 500th episode of the Today's Homeowner television show just yesterday. What a milestone. I don't know why that's just affected me. I guess I'm thinking about, 500 projects, 500 different homeowners. That probably represents shows in about at least 20 different states throughout the country. And just thinking about the amount of, if you just set out and said, Joe, let's go tape 500 shows.
Right.
It took us over 21 years, and sitting here now with the highest ratings we've ever had in the history of the Today's Homeowner brand, feeling pretty good right now. So
yeah, you should.
Yeah.
So and unlike many businesses that reach a certain level of success, Danny has worked harder the more successful the show has become. So
another thing that's about to hit 500 is 500 segments of simple solutions, and we'll be announcing that as soon as Joe tapes that number 500. But Joe has one for us right now.
Okay, Danny, nylon bristle scrub brushes are great for cleaning all sorts of surfaces, but they do require quite a bit of elbow grease. So I thought I'd share a simple solution, how to introduce a little power to the next time you need to clean something. So what I did is I bought a scrub brush. Go out and look for a scrub brush, typically in the kitchen aisle. It has a long handle and a round head on it with the bristles, right? So it's about 2.5, 3 inches in diameter.
Did you? You sound like you just described Dennis. What was it with a round head and bristles?
Yeah,
that's a beard.
Bristles,
Don't call it bristles.
It's the dentist scrub brush. You can use it for cleaning dentists. And so what you do is, first thing, you get a hacksaw or something, and just cut off the handle. You won't need the handle. So grind off the handle, cut off the handle, however. So you just end up with this round scrub brush. Drill a hole in the middle of it and put through and the hole is 5/16 inch diameter. And then you put through a 1/4 inch diameter machine bolt, about 4 inches long, put a nut and a bolt on it and tighten it up. So what you can do is now you've got this bolt sticking out of the head of the scrub brush. Chuck it into a drill. And now you can really put some power behind it. This is really great for scrubbing tile grout.
Yeah.
Because how often do you, when you clean grout, it's never like 12 inches of grout, right? You usually want to do the whole floor. You have, if you added it all up, it's probably it might be 100 linear feet of grout. So you chuck it in, you spray down, obviously in this case, you put down some grout cleaner and just scrub it. So that's it. And just use and then you can just, save it and use it any other time for cleaning any other surface. Just use the drill as the power behind it.
And a cordless drill like that make it real easy. Well, I'll never be able to look at a scrub brush again without thinking about old Dennis there. Now it's time for our podcast question of the week, and you can send yours in by going to todayshomeowner.com/podcast. Now, this is a interesting one and very timely, I think. Lisa from South Carolina writes, I would like to hang holiday decorations on the walls of our front porch. Our house exterior is CertainTeed vinyl cedar shake siding. The normal siding clips will not work, and was wondering if you could find a solution without driving nails or screws into the siding, because the holiday decorations are, of course, removed seasonally. Kind of when you think about that vinyl shake type of siding, it's a little bit different than using just regular little hooks here and there that might work on traditional horizontal lap siding. But I'll tell you, we did a segment with the Weather Channel just earlier this week talking about Halloween decorations, and it's pretty much the same when you're talking about hanging lights. People are hanging lights for Halloween, hanging lights for everything nowadays, which I love seeing a house all lit up with lights like that. But I'll tell you, Joe, the old command hooks that came out years ago for interiors, and I think they were really, I don't know if they were invented for dorm rooms or not, or apartments or whatever, but certainly they're widely used there. But that's one of the things we recommended, is using just a little more heavy-duty type of adhesive command hook for those exterior lights. And then you can either leave them up because they are clear, so you can still see them, but not as much, or you can just pull the little plug on it, the little
pull the tab
on it, and release them. What do you think on that?
Yeah, that's the amazing thing about that 3M command. It looks like one of those adhesive products that they were trying to invent something else.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out. And they said, well, wait a minute. I think we can use this in another way. But yeah, 3M, if you've not seen the 3M command products, you go to their website or even go see the display at Home Depot. They've expanded that line tremendously. There used to be 3 or 4 different SKUs, as they say. But they actually have one now, a product called Outdoor Light Clips. Made specifically for that. So I don't know how they're different than what they ordinarily have. Maybe it's the adhesive that holds up better. But like Danny said, you can just pull them and pull the little tab on the bottom when you're done, and they snap right off. And I'm not really sure why the other vinyl siding hooks won't work, but there's a company called No Hole Hooks, meaning, of course, you don't have to drill a hole in your house. Yeah. And there's another one called VZ. I'm not sure what that stands for, VZ. Vinyl siding hooks. She can check those out, see if they're pretty affordable, and they might work as well. But otherwise, the command product would be the way to go. Yeah, there you go. And Lisa, thanks so much for sending that in. And Lisa sent in that question by going to todayshomeowner.com/podcast, and you can do the same thing if you have any question. And we really appreciate you spending time with us on our podcast. Hope we've been able to provide you the kind of information that you want. Let us know if you'd like for us to take on a particular subject. We do a lot of extra podcasts from time to time, and we'd be glad to include a subject that you want us to dig a little deeper on. And all you have to do is just let us know on that, again, by going to todayshomeowner.com/podcast. And also, those 5-star reviews are sure awfully nice that you're sending in from time to time, and we'd appreciate if you could continue that, because we're rising up the ranks of podcasts that are available throughout America. I'm Danny Lipford along with Joe Truini. Thanks so much for being with us on this podcast.